Welcome back to Let's Buy Higurashi in Meakashi. Now, I just realized they don't even show Meakashi on the title. No, I just thought that. It's like, maybe because originally they were released all at once, but technically I don't think that was the case. I think it's like the chapters essentially, aren't they? So they obviously did it one at a time, but still, they didn't put it in the title. Whatever. So, previous part I uploaded maybe 3 hours ago. As I'm recording, it's like I'm trying to get my sleeping pattern around because college again, and I think I might have failed. I tried to sleep through the night, and then I was like, screw it, and woke up at 3 in the morning. Well, almost 3 in the morning. It was like, uploads, and I've been up since. It's like, will I be able to stay up for the whole day and change my sleeping pattern around? Probably not. But I'll give it a try anyway. Word of the day. Weird thing is, I had a dream, right? Well, collection of dreams. Dreams don't usually end up being a single dream. They usually kind of branch off and you're just like, what the fuck's going on? But in this one dream, I actually had my Japanese dictionary with me. It was weird. I was like, huh? Yeah, about... Actually, let's try to fit with the theme here. Let's have a look-see. Meeting Kaigi. Kaigi. That is the word for the day. Mion-chan, has Oyashiro-sama said anything about this whole thing? Everyone looked in my direction. I was sure they could see the hag in me. I'm Mion Sonozaki, acting head of the Sonozaki family. I'm here in place of Oreo, the current head. Thank you for having me. I became Mion. I tried to become as cold and as unfeeling as the Mion I witnessed a year ago. And that cold version of Mion was inside of me. That was me. I was her. Unfortunately, the curse of Oyashiro-sama has come to pass for the 5th time. This is deeply regretful. Everyone was held captive by my words. I wasn't a little girl anymore. The hag was speaking through my mouth. They all heard me and trembled in fear. Does anyone know why the curse happened again this year? After my question, everyone whispered to each other. I will tell you, it was because they broke the rule of the ritual storehouse and desecrated the sacred ground within. How dare they? A few elderly men got up and yelled. The fools! I can't believe this! You deserve to be killed! Oyashiro-sama, please calm your anger. Oh my, how did that happen? Oyashiro-sama, this is why we hate outsiders. They just don't think. They're just too stupid. They got what they deserved. It was their own fault. The angry old man yelled even as they trembled in fear. The sudden change scared me more than a little. Even Uncle Kimiyoshi, who was usually so gentle and sweet, became like a demon of war, cursing those who broke the rule of the ritual storehouse. I wonder if that's how they actually feel, or well, they're trying to keep up appearances. It had become like a raging ocean inside the assembly hall. Their yells spun about like a whirlpool. They roared, crashed, and howled. Even while doing nothing but watch, I could feel myself turning pale. Mion threatened me yesterday because I had been shocked this morning. What I saw before me was similar to that. Even a sweet and gentle Uncle Kimiyoshi was saying they deserved to die. I was fearful of the sudden change in those elderly men. More than anything, the fact they all believed that those people deserved to die for trespassing is what terrified me. It wasn't just that, of course. The real thing I was scared of was that I was one of the people they wanted dead. In other words, it was almost like they were telling me to die of the curse. if they were to find out I snuck into the ritual storehouse, it was very possible that they would strangle me on the spot. Actually, they might not kill me that easily. By then, I was certain the people in this room were true believers in Oyashiro-sama, just like the hag. They wouldn't hesitate to murder whoever made Oyashiro-sama angry on his behalf. Even if they didn't carry out the killings themselves, they would pretend they didn't see anything. Just not even if my head was cut off right in front of them. Everyone here would act in collusion and say I never attended today. If they all testified that they waited and I didn't show, I'd be deemed away. It would be far too easy for them to arrest someone and have them disappear. There was no mistake. The people linking the hag and the curse were definitely here at this meeting. I continued speaking. I was Mion Sonozaki. I was on the side responsible for the curse. Therefore, at that moment, I didn't need to worry about anything. Nobody could tell the difference between Mion and me. That's what would keep me safe. Please, be silent. Hey, quiet down! Uncle Kimiyoshi helped me. Now, quiet, everyone. But his tone was violent. He really scared me. Everyone gradually became silent. In fact, it was 4 people who snuck into the storehouse. 2 more remained. People once more became restless upon hearing that, but Uncle Kimiyoshi yelled at them again and they settled down. Tomitake-san and Takna-san were old enough to be made responsible for their own poor judgment. As a result, the curse of Oyashiro-sama fell upon them immediately. But the other 2 were simply children. The curse has yet to fall upon them. But there will be some kind of punishment. Everyone stayed quiet that time. They had all turned generally pale, trying not to miss a word I said. After all, they were all thinking that the kids I mentioned could be their own relatives, or even grandchildren. They wanted to know who they were, to put their minds at ease. The other 2 snuck into the ritual storehouse were Shion Sonozaki and Keiichi Maibara. I could feel the air getting drier. It was so dry it almost felt like I was going to start making a crackling noise. Shion Sonozaki has already... I couldn't even hear the old people breathe. I took a pick at Uncle Kimiyoshi, who was sitting next to me. He adored Shion as if she were his own granddaughter, but she had been deemed away. I wanted to see how distressed and sad he'd look, and when I saw his face, I felt a sensation on my back as if my skin itself was making a cracking noise. He didn't even have an expression on his face. Uncle Kimiyoshi adored me. I loved him and I thought he loved me too. That was why I expected him to be saddened after learning that I met with such a cruel fate. What was I thinking? Memory of his warm smile shattered inside of me. There was no way of describing the fear I experienced at that moment in mere words. He had suddenly changed into someone I didn't even recognize. Uncle Kimiyoshi noticed me looking at him and spoke. What about Keiichi Maibara? Not yet. I had to take a deep breath to regain my composure. All 4 who snuck into the ritual storehouse will suffer the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Keiichi Maibara is no exception. Chilling looks, cruel looks, emotionless looks, shrewd looks, and the looks of people who were about to snap. I could feel the demons chewing my words while they stared at me with their sharp eyes. I could see some of them sticking their snake-like tongues in and out. I could see flames in some of their eyes. They were memorizing the names of the intruder the curse had yet to fall upon. And so the meeting went on. We were told not to tell the police too much, to report what they asked us, and to hold an hour meeting whenever something of significance happened. If something unexpected took place, we were to get in touch with either the head of the Kimiyoshi family or the head of the Sonozaki family for instructions on what to do. With those closing remarks, the meeting was over. It was already getting dark outside. Being in a valley surrounded by mountains, once the sun went down in Himi's hour, it got dark quickly. Do they even have street lights? Well, they probably do have some. Even if it was hot during the day, it cooled down quickly at night. I mean, we always see that one, background that has that light, usually in the road where shit goes down, usually, isn't it? Like when Tomitake always gets in the habit of getting killed off. is always just like, we're important from the scene. There's like one street light and that's it. And if it was hot during the day, it cooled down quickly at night. The elderly people said goodbye to each other and left on their bicycles, on their motorcycles, or in their cars. It's amazing, really, isn't it? Just like, most of these characters we've barely really seen, and technically not seen physically either, but we hear of them and stuff occasionally here and there, usually around with Tanagashi, and they seem like ordinary old folks, and like in the fourth question arc, we got more insight on them and all that. But in that meeting, they were like, we're cold, angry, just like suspicious of outsiders, fuck you all, kind of people. But I wonder how much of that is legit, how they feel, or how much of it might simply be influenced by not wanting to piss off the head of the Sonozaki family. That, I don't know. Uncle Kimiyoshi waved them goodbye and started to head home himself. I called out to him. Kimiyoshi-san, do you have plans after this? I called him Kimiyoshi-san instead of Uncle Kimiyoshi. He stopped. No, I don't have anything planned. Then you stop by my house. Does Oryo-san want to see me? Yes, she wants to talk to you about something in person. Okay, I'll stop by. Can you see where this is going if you, watched or at least read on your own, whatever, you know, with Tanagashi? You probably can see where this is going, or will end up going. Uncle Kimiyoshi arrived at Sonozaki house. Now we know what really went down behind the scenes, isn't it? He often came to the house to have secret meetings with the hags, so he wasn't suspicious at all. I invited Uncle Kimiyoshi into the living room. I served him a cup of tea and told him I was going to fetch the hag. I left the room and killed some time down the hallway. Granny will be here after she gets dressed. She might take a little while. Oh, that's okay. I'll just wait. Uncle Kimiyoshi relaxed as he sipped his cup of tea. I sat next to him. I think she wants to talk to you about Shion. I mentioned my name and watched for his reaction. Uncle Kimiyoshi looked so grim. I couldn't even tell if he heard me. I decided to continue speaking until he reacted in some way. Remember the incident from last year with Shion, yes? She became friendly with people of the Hojo family. She was forgiven after ripping out her nails, wasn't she? Daddy! Yes, 3 nails. Uncle Kimiyoshi folded his arms and thought for a while. Where is Shion-chan now? In the basement. How is she doing? Uncle Kimiyoshi sounded worried. When I heard that, I felt relieved that Uncle Kimiyoshi was on my side. His anger in the assembly hall was just an act. She's been crying. Mion-chan, tell me, what is Oryo-san going to do with Shion-chan? She hasn't told me any details. As you know, Granny becomes awfully quiet when she is truly furious. Going into the ritual storehouse, huh? Furthermore, it's her own granddaughter. That's a tough decision to make. Uncle Kimiyoshi thought that the hag must be unsure of what to do with Shion. What do you think? What do you think will happen to Shion? Well, I'm sure it'll be far more than just 3 nails this time. Knowing how Oryo-san is, she won't hold back just because it's her granddaughter. Actually, she might even be more harsh, especially because they're related. Yes, she did go into the ritual storehouse. That's not something that can be forgiven so easily. Indeed, it's sacred after all. In a way, maybe it's not fair to Shion. She has been away from Hinami's Tower, as you know. I'm sure she knew she wasn't supposed to trespass in the ritual storehouse. Maybe she didn't know how forbidden it was. Yeah, that's true. Poor Shion-chan. Other than a tattoo on my back, how would you tell the difference between Shion and me? There isn't one. There's no point in distinguishing between Mion and Shion in the first place. Twins are proof of bad luck. One should be eliminated as soon as they are born. Such is the family precept. The hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I came out of the womb. That's how the story went, at least. In the end, the hag didn't kill me, but instead pretended I didn't exist. She forced herself to call one of us Mion and the other Shion. She adored Mion and hated Shion. My sister and I never understood why we had to go through that. We didn't care who was Mion or Shion. So one day we came up with an idea. We decided to share the joy Mion experienced and the sadness Shion experienced. We often switched places. We were both Mion, and at the same time we were both Shion. Adults around us tried to put different clothes on us, or style our hair differently so they could tell us apart. That was nonsense. No matter what they did to us, all we had to do was switch places and nobody could tell us apart. Finally they decided that we switched places because we were always together. On that day, Shion got to go to an amusement park. Since then, we've been separated. Mion-chan. I can't even imagine what will happen to Shion. Whenever its granny decides to do, I'm not in a position to say anything about it. She doesn't listen to her relatives. You're right, that's something Oyashiro-sama needs to work on. If Shion wasn't Shion Sonozaki, she would have been dead a long time ago. I can't even begin to imagine what kind of punishment might be equal to death. And if she isn't killed, she'll probably never see the light of day again. In other words, she'll be deemed away. Mion-chan, does Shion-chan regret what she has done? Yes. In response, Uncle Kimiyoshi tapped my shoulder and then slapped his own chest. He smiled reliably. Don't worry, if Shion-chan feels bad about what she has done, she won't be deemed away. Leave it to me. Really? Really? I'm sure Oyashiro-sama will be fierce to hear me say anything, but I won't give up. I'll explain to her that Shion-chan regrets what she has done, and I'll beg for her forgiveness. Tears began to fall from my eyes. I knew it. Uncle Kimiyoshi was my ally after all. He said he would forgive Shion. He was my ally. I was so very happy. Are you sure? Are you sure she won't be deemed away like Satoshi Hojo-kun was last year? Uncle Kimiyoshi smiled reliably and told me, He was the brat of the Hojo family. This is Shion-chan of the Sonozaki family we're talking about here. Of course she'll be forgiven. Oh, Kimiyoshi! Kimiyoshi. Things were going so well, and then you had to drop that. It's like, he's just like, made Shion just like realize, oh, Kimiyoshi actually cares, but you insult Satoshi and you done fucked up. The music stopped. Huh? Huh? A brat of the Hojo family. Are you talking about Satoshi-kun, last year's victim? Those Hojo people, they were traitors who tried to sell out the whole village. Of course he got deemed away. He was a Hojo after all. Huh? 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 Hojo people should all be cursed. Only people like them get deemed away. Shion-chan will be okay. It won't happen to someone like her. Uncle, didn't Shion take care of that for Satoshi-kun last year? Wasn't he supposed to be forgiven? Take care of what? What do you mean? Remember, 3 nails. She removed 3 of her nails. Kasai-san, Uncle Yoshiro, and then Satoshi-kun. 3 people. She removed 3 nails for 3 people. Yeah? So that was why it was 3 nails, huh? Huh? What? Wasn't that the significance of those 3 nails? Yeah, you're right. There were 3 people involved, hence the 3 nails. I heard that too, but... Wait, what? But what? I got those mixed up, didn't I? Yeah, that is... I got it mixed up. Kasai-san, Oyashiro-sama, and Shion-chan. That makes 3. You know what, I wonder if the background right there is also gonna be translated. It wouldn't be a recording without doing this, is it? Nope, that's unlike that. That's in English the whole time then. Kasai-san, Oyashiro-sama. I think it was that way around, wasn't it? And Shion. Look at that. Like I've said before, usually numbers they put in Roman numerals, rather than writing out the kanji characters for them. Which I wonder if that makes them more confusing or not. What? Eh? What? Huh? Eh? What? I endured excruciating pain. Let's have a look at her warts there and see how it turns out in Japanese. Also, you know when, like, the screen went all kind of like woo, woo, like a warping kind of hole of sorts, you know, like, it's just like, we're going into the future of the past, wow, wow. I remember one part had that as the default thumbnail. I was like, man, that's just trippy on the eyes, so I, like, clicked on one of the other thumbnails that it had. Are, are, yeah. There is no Nani on here, no. These are different ones. The first one was my left pinky, then the ring finger, and then the middle finger. That's the most important finger. People held me down so I couldn't move, but I endured. I had to endure 3 nails. I didn't know which nail was for Satoshi-kun. My middle finger was for Satoshi-kun. I'd have to endure till the middle finger was done so that Satoshi-kun would be forgiven. That was why I endured. Even Mion said afterwards, everything was forgiven. Huh? Mion, didn't you say Satoshi-kun was forgiven? Didn't you? That's what I heard. I think that's what I heard. Or did I? Huh? I felt the air move. There shouldn't have been a breeze in that room, but I felt it anyway. The cool air struck the back of my neck. That was when my true self stood right behind me and nodded. Although there was no wind, my hair billowed, the burning wickedness buried deep inside my eyes became visible. Why do you think Satoshi Hojo-kun got deemed away? Satoshi-kun's parents did in fact try to sell out the village. They deserved the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Satoshi-kun was simply their son. What has he done? Mion-chan. Asked me what kind of crime Satoshi-kun committed. He said earlier that he deserved to be deemed away because he was born in the Hojo family. What has he done to deserve being deemed away? Kimiyoshi didn't know what to say to the sudden question. It seemed dismayed. I didn't hear her say it, but I know it was Sonozaki-san's decision. She decided that the curse of the Oyashiro-sama would fall upon all the Hojos. Wait, no. Okay, wrong right way around. I didn't hear her say it, but I know. It was Sonozaki's decision. She decided that the curse of Oyashiro-sama would fall upon all the Hojos. Oh, wait, Mion-chan. That's not true. Didn't she decide that? No, she didn't. The curse of Oyashiro-sama falling upon the Hojo family. I do remember talking about something like that, but we never decided that. Nobody did. Then why did you say because he was one of the Hojos earlier? Sorry, Mion-chan. That was, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. That's just it. Anything that happens to the Hojo family is a curse. As long as someone has the Hojo name, nobody cares about what happens to that person. That idea spread like a virus amongst the villagers. It didn't matter if Satoshi-kun did anything or not, because he was a Hojo, he was filthy. That infection of an idea is the entire problem. And you all believed in that idea. You couldn't even think straight anymore. I can't forgive you. I can't let someone like you exist. People like you cornered Satoshi-kun and his family. Poor Satoshi-kun. What has he done? He hasn't done anything. He was a Hojo, that's all. What kind of a crime is that? Why did the curse fall upon him? What kind of crime has he committed? Wow! Kimiyoshi's upper body bent backwards and fell onto the floor. That was that. I put my stun gun back in my pocket. What? I don't know who's speaking now. Sorry, Shion, what was that you just said? I'm kind of thinking maybe it's Kasai, But I can't be sure because the screen is blank and we don't have... Well, it's a phone call. Assume it's Kasai for now, so... Sorry, Shion. What was that you just said? Apparently Takno-san and Tomitaka-san died last night. Takno was found burned to death. Tomitaka-san was... well, looked like a suicide. Found out this morning. Heard my father talking to a relative on the phone about it. Oh wait, it's Keiichi actually. Never mind. Oh wait, it should have freaking been obvious. That's the order that it went in. You remember with Tanagashi, right? When they talked over the phone the second time in the long conversation, and she was like made up that whole story about Kimiyoshi, just like and put on that act. But we didn't know at that time whether it was really Shion or Mion, because it was left ambiguous purposely, and it's now come to light that it was in fact Shion, and that Shion's the one behind it all. So with that in mind, if you remember with Tanagashi, you know, shit's gonna get worse. Oh, it's gonna be a hell of a ride. Oh, not looking forward to those parts. As I've ever thought, Keiichi didn't know anything about what happened after the festival last night. So let's read that in the Keiichi voice, which is my default kind of voice and protagonist voice. Sorry, Shion. What was that you just said? Because, you know, that's how I voice protagonists, isn't it? Of course it's not getting reported by the media. That's how it was in the past too. Keiichi insisted that unless he heard about it on the news, it couldn't be real. Unless it's on the news, nothing is real. Just like, that would make a lot of things not real then, wouldn't it? But the investigations into the series of mysterious thefts are done in secret now. Of course he didn't hear about it on the news. I heard the mayor and several important politicians from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police. And you mean the deaths are going to be dealt with in total secrecy? That's how it is. Of course the police are still investigating. That's being performed in secret too. Though so I hear the investigation itself is very restricted in what it can and can't do. You could essentially say they're interfering with a police investigation. I can't believe this. People died and yet they're dealing with everything in secret. If you break it down further, it means that no matter who dies on the night of Tanagashi, it won't go public. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I've ever heard. Hey Chan, remember how I said before that the villagers could be the ones carrying out Oyashiro-sama's curse? That's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Mizawa, where every year you're allowed to kill someone on the night of Tanagashi. Yes, that's the truth about the series of mysterious deaths in Mizawa, also known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. On the day of Tanagashi, 2 people will be killed. The perpetrators are using the curse of Oyashiro-sama as an excuse to kill one victim and make another disappear. That's why the curse of Oyashiro-sama takes place. You know, back to the whole, village that, these pictures are taken of and all that for the setting. Like, it is a real village, and as I mentioned before, Karno Shoujo 2 also takes place in a village that's based on this village. And you know what I find funny is they both have the same kind of theme. They got this isolated village where there's like a few families that pretty much have power over it all and very influential and shit. And there's like a mysterious death whenever a festival takes place. It's the exact same kind of theme. And it's all the same, and it's secretive, and nobody really is able to, pinpoint what it is. But they all have the same suspicion. It's like, it's clearly some of the villagers are in on this, aren't they? Has that same theme. That's when the curse of Oyashiro-sama takes place. And that's what happens in Mizawa, and that's what happens with the curse. What Kimiyoshi said is all true. Infecting everyone with the idea that the enemy from the damn conflict deserved to die was the root of all of this. That was the system of vague commands used in the Sonozaki family, created by its head, Oryu. One thing that must be mentioned about that command system is that the person giving the orders and the one executing them didn't need to interact in any way. Though Oryu was the commander, she never gave actual orders. She only had to expect something to happen. Every single one of the family council members around her would want to satisfy their expectation if given the chance. They didn't have to be provocative about satisfying it. Proactive. They could be passive too. But when the chance arose, anyone who knew Orio's intentions could potentially become the one to execute her orders. Therefore, Orio would never know who actually executed her order, and none of the relatives knew it either. But they all knew they would conclude just as Orio wanted, and they could assume it was one of their own who did it for her. This passive support system was fairly effective, and it spread all over the village. Its ties became even tighter after the dam conflict. Anyone could be the one to execute Orio's orders. Therefore, everyone supported each other. If someone did something, then the others would try to satisfy Orio's expectation in different ways. For example, they'd come up with false evidence or otherwise passively interfere with an investigation. Even if they didn't know exactly who they were protecting, they'd still work together to protect whoever it was. Yes, I had finally figured out how it all worked. Phrased in a more organized manner, it would go as follows. The system of killing 2 people who are unwanted by the village each year required 3 elements. The first element was a region of solidarity. It was created during the long and unique history of the enemy's hour. The villagers' bonds became even tighter during the dam conflict. That was one of the conditions for this place to have a curse. It was an element that was already in the region, not one that could be created. The next element was having the same moral standards. This was a very important element, as the curse wouldn't have happened without it. Also, this element was created by Sonozaki herself, and that was why she could claim that this system was established by her own will. Having the same moral standards means that everyone, everywhere, acknowledges the same enemy. Even when someone in a village joined together, it would be meaningless if they all didn't know exactly who the enemy was. During the dam conflict, Sonozaki made the identity of the enemy very clear to everyone. They couldn't just say that they were against the dam construction and the government was their enemy. That wasn't clear enough. The government didn't really pinpoint who the enemy was, but Orio made enemies out of the construction site itself, and therefore its manager. She chose targets that the villagers could see with their own eyes. They were clear and easy to understand. The villagers acknowledged that everyone at the dam construction site was their enemy, and that the construction site manager was the enemy commander. Using the same method, she labeled one after another as an enemy of the village, practically cataloguing a list of enemies to print into the villagers' minds. Hilda had used the term infecting for this phenomena. Those infected by this idea were the people who had unconsciously given the orders to commit murder. When the infection spread across the village, when all of Inamizawa residents acknowledged the same enemy, that's when Inamizawa itself became a murderer. Orio combined those 2 elements, a solidarity, region, and having the same moral standards, then selected the enemy and spread that notion throughout the village. The law would normally have punished both the one who committed the crime and the one who gave the order, but Orio's system didn't require an order at all. Orio could just become concerned about the enemy she had pre-selected. That alone wouldn't cause the curse to take place. Orio's concern was like a safety device, and even when the safety device was off, the curse wouldn't occur until there was a finger to pull the trigger. The last necessary element was to set a date for execution, the night of Otanagashi, the night to venerate Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of Inamizawa. On that night, the curse of Oyashiro-sama falls upon 2 enemies of the village, and they disappear. Everyone in the village acknowledged that as fact. In other words, if the same incident took place on any of the other 364 nights of the year, it would be nothing other than a murder case. But if it happened on the night of Otanagashi, then it would transform into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The idea that villagers were allowed to kill their enemies on the night of Otanagashi had infected them. The villagers were the cells of this huge creature called Inamizawa. Each cell would be taught who the enemy was. The set date was basically a green light for whoever was in the best position to kill the enemy. That was the truth for the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Therefore, the one who actually kills Satoshi-kun isn't my enemy. The one who set up this murderous system and the one who named Satoshi-kun's family as enemy is my enemy. To use a broader definition, Hinamizawa itself and the very system of Oyashiro-sama's curse is my enemy. I already killed the hag, the one who designed the system. Kimiyoshi, the one whose job it was to infect the villagers with the system, was already in my hands. I just had to find out who else was involved and how much. It was like pulling a weed while being very careful not to break its roots. I announced that Keiichi Maibara was one of the people who snuck into the shrine storage. I was certain that fact had already spread throughout the underside of the village. In other words, Keiichi Maibara was an object of the curse of Oyashiro-sama now. Takana-san and Tomitaka-san were found dead, having been killed in gruesome ways. That was the curse of Oyashiro-sama. In that case, they could demon away 2 more people as sacrifices to calm the anger of Oyashiro-sama. But, Shion, that goes against the pattern that was established. One person dies, the other is demoned away. If it's 4 people, that kind of is double. The set date for the curse was already over. But just like what happened to Satoshi demon away was allowed a little extra time. Or maybe it's simply because like, oh, you've desecrated it, so that doubles it. Something would happen to Keiichi Maibara in a few days. I'd wait patiently, carefully to not let my enemy simply take Keiichi Maibara, my bait. Keiichi had been yelling on the other end of the phone for some time. He kept yelling that he didn't want to go into the ritual stores to begin with. He claimed he was simply invited by Takana-san and me. He shouldn't be in danger because of that, he said. He was feeling a sense of crisis and tension. This was going to work. The livelier the bait, the easier it is to spot. Why the hell did you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you gonna do, damn it? How are you gonna take responsibility for this, huh? Hey, are you listening? Shut up, I've heard enough of your pitiful tears. I hung up the phone. There was no point in talking to him when he got like that. Besides, I'd already achieved my goal, which was to make him realize the danger awaiting him. I took a deep breath and called the house of the village chief.